My name's Stuart Oates. I volunteer for a charity called Shelterbox. We specialise in taking aid across the world to victims of man-made and natural disasters. People always ask me what it's like to go to such harrowing places, seeing such desperate people. This is my personal video diary of what it's really like in the life of an aid worker.
Scenes of devastation in eastern Uganda, a river of mud where a village once stood after days of torrential rain. The Red Cross says 3 villages have been completely destroyed in Bududa district. Scores of people have been confirmed dead, around 300 others are still unaccounted for. Reports of survivors digging with their bare hands in desperate attempts of finding anyone alive.
By the time the news came out, Shelterbox had already received a cry for help from a local charity in the area. I'd got the call to go, along with another Shelterbox response team member, Laura Dale. Our first job was to determine whether there was a genuine need and whether our equipment would be suitable. A camp had been set up in a nearby village to the mudslide. It was now home to almost 3,500 people who had either lost their homes or were simply too scared to stay on the mountain.
These are women who have children, so at times, you know the tent is difficult to manage. There are some people who steal other people's blankets.
We found people living in large, overcrowded tents, with sometimes over 100 people living together, sleeping on the floor, often without even a blanket.
Yeah, this is a tent for only ladies, women and children. They always get filled up, they are not certain of the number.
Families had been split up to separate men from women and children, and more rain was forecast to come in the next few days, inevitably turning the camp into a mud bath. This was a situation which we very quickly realised could not be sustained. So we sent the call back to headquarters in Cornwall, and 200 boxes were quickly packed and dispatched to meet us in Kampala. So it's going well. We've got to start the paper trail now, which is going to be a nightmare. So we've got to go all the way back to Kampala, and so we'll meet up with the Red Cross guy there, who's going to be our consignee. And once we've spoken to him, hopefully he'll get us our clearance we need and get everything into the country without any customs taxes. Customs clearance can often be the make or break of a deployment. Every country has a different set of complex regulations that we need to battle our way through. In this case, after a lot of toing and froing, we cleared our boxes and got them onto Ugandan soil.
We're on our way to the camp. Had a bit of a stressful couple of days trying to get the boxes through customs. We're finally getting there. So we've got 2 trucks, one which the Red Cross has provided for us, and another one, and then this pickup. And we're heading there now, and hopefully we'll get the training done this morning and then start distributing this afternoon.
Once back into the camp, we found that things were only getting more difficult. The forecasted rains had come and the ground had turned to mud. After unloading our boxes ready for distribution, we met up with the other aid agencies in the camp and put together a plan to get the tents set up and people living in them as quickly as possible. Whilst walking around the site again, word had spread of our arrival, and we came across hundreds of people gathering at a distribution point at the school in the hope that they would get some much needed help. The crowd was quickly dispersed by local officials, but it really hit home how desperate people were becoming. As the rain started again, we set about training as many volunteers and people from the camp as possible in how to put up our tents. Each one would home a family of up to 10 people.
Hassan, how's your day been today?
The day has been okay. It's only that we started early in the morning when it was okay, but the rain has distracted us. but we've been moving on where.
Despite the rain, the camp quickly started to take shape. More land was being cleared for the tents, and within just a few days, we were able to set up all of our tents. But always the greatest reward of all is seeing people move in and instantly take pride in their new homes. We had been told stories all week about the devastation that had occurred during the landslide. So we used our final morning in Uganda to climb the mountain and see the site for ourselves.
Well, it's about 7:30 in the morning now. We've got up just before 6 and ran out the door so that we can go down here to this mountain region, so that we can climb the area that the landslides happened. So we're just setting off now, very tired, and could do with some food. So see you up there.
Well, Jennifer, the lady from the area up here who's guided us up from the camp, has just said that this area here was full of houses. And as you can see now, there's just nothing here at all. And in the distance over there's some people, and they're still digging for survivors. And earlier on, Jennifer explained that they're identifying people sometimes just through their fingers and toes.
Some of the homes, apparently, when the land fell away, they just sunk up to 10 feet, just down into the ground. And so we can't be sure. We're not standing on top of people's homes, and in fact, on top of people.
They're pointing to an area down there where they think there might be a body underneath the earth or the carcass of an animal, because there are hundreds of flies gathered around there. Oh, that is a medical.
Yeah, there was a clinic there. Just moved up to here.
A lady at the camp yesterday, Edith, was telling me that she came up here the day after the mudslides. A huge rock had come down from the mountain and hit the health centre that was here. And underneath the rock, they could see some hospital beds. And there were some bodies underneath the rock, and various parts of bodies in the area.
Due to the inaccessibility of the area other than by foot, local people were digging alongside the army by hand. We found one group of men digging away in an area of dry dirt, which is the only remains of a house. As we left the mountain to return back to the UK, we were joined once again by Jennifer, our guide, who had taken the opportunity to go back to her farm to pick some bananas to take back to the camp. It reminded us that even in the face of such adversity, life does go on, and people have an incredible ability to cope with whatever life has to throw at them.
More than 600 people are missing after days of heavy rain in northeastern Brazil. It's increased fears the death toll there will rise. At least 38 people have died so far. Tens of thousands are homeless.
In the past 12 months alone, Shelterbox have taken aid to more than 25 disasters around the world, from landslides in Uganda to the earthquake in Haiti, and then flooding in Brazil, which is where I was off to next.
Okay, so we're in downtown Branquina. This is actually what was the town centre. The river's running behind us, and as you can see, there's just nothing left. There's some rubble left and a couple of trees, but otherwise pretty much everything's gone.
A quick journey around the town soon revealed to us the extent of the damage, the only evidence of the town's centre being a large tree that people continued to sit around. We visited some of the people who were living in a school while they waited for one of our tents. How many people live here?
Quantas pessoas vivem aqui? Aqui mesmo, é 6.
6 people live in this tiny little area.
The more people we spoke to, the more amazing stories of survival we were told. One lady told us of how her dog had pulled her to safety as she was being taken away by the floodwaters.
We talked to a family who had just moved into their shelter box tent the day before, and we just went and spoke to them. There was the lady Marilla and her husband and her daughter and her son, and they were just moving in all their belongings, and we asked about their experience, and they said they lived in a first floor apartment, and when the flooding came it rose 15 metres and even flooded even though they were on the first floor. And when they were trying to escape, her husband was carrying their 9-year-old daughter Bruno on his shoulders, and he got electrocuted as the water kind of hit the powers, and he got thrown out of the building, and the daughter got thrown into the building, and the daughter got trapped in the flat for 3 days and 3 nights by herself, and she was 9 years old. But to see her in her tent, her mum asked, "How long can we have the tent for? When do we have to give it back?" And I said it was yours as long as you need it. You know, you can till you move into your new house, or whether you move out of the camp, it's entirely up to you. And her daughter was doing cartwheels because she was so excited.
Previous teams had organised shipping of the boxes to the area, so the main aim of our deployment was to find and set up large camps that could house the thousands of people left homeless. The local government provided us with workers to help set up the tents, so once we had trained everyone, we started work on completing a site the previous team had left us. Fabrizio was a local fireman and school teacher who had worked with us throughout the deployment, acting as our fixer and translator.
Well, we have now 108 tents, and we will set up more 42, 44, I believe. So I believe 150 tents this site. After here, we are going to São José da Laje to set up 200 tents.
By the time we got onto the next site, the 2 other members of our team, Chris Brown and Toby Reed, had arrived from the UK and got straight to work.
We're putting down some girls, some sand. We had a lot of heavy rain overnight, which meant the site that we had prepared was absolutely drenched, so we're just putting some more sand down before we get the remainder of the tents up.
Yesterday's the first day on the job. What's your feelings?
It's good. It's good. We've had a good morning. We've got about 20 tents up this morning. Eso. And we've got these amazing guys helping us, and they're doing a fantastic job. Lots of help from the local government, and nice level sites on a good location. Everything's going well. We've got 60 tents to try and put up today, which is going to be hard, but we're 20 in, and it's not 12 o'clock yet, so we're optimistic.
Yesterday was a bit of a crazy day. In the morning we went down to Fabrizio's school. We were just going in to do a bit of a shelter box talk, because he's been teaching his kids, he's an English teacher, he's been teaching his kids all about shelter box, so we went in there. But it was crazy. We were treated like complete rock stars. They were screaming, like all the girls were trying to get photos with us, and it was bizarre but amazing. I think I might become a rock star.
There's a new initiative within Shelter Box called Young Shelter Box, and at the moment it's at its early stages, but the intention over the coming months and years is to involve schools internationally to help fundraise money for the box.
Then we headed off to Santana to go and see a new site that we could possibly use, but it was the valley there was just too narrow, so we can't get a site in.
So we're up in a place now called Santana do Mondaio, which is where it's a particularly badly hit area following the flooding on the 18th of June. A lot of houses, you can see, have been absolutely demolished. We're below the level of the water of the river as it came through here. And all of these houses are now being condemned. You can see they're being flattened, and they won't allow them to return to this area. So we have 50 tents to give to these people, but because the valley is so steep either side, we can't find a site to actually locate the tents. So we're just driving around with our local firemen at the moment. They're showing us the areas.
On our way home, we were going on the main road, and a motorbike smacked into an old man and knocked him flying, and we saw the whole thing. And first people on the scene, and we were in the Bombieros van, which is the fire van. We had to stop, and so we had to get all the first aid skills on the go. So we had to sort of hold the guy still, but there was no ambulance. So in the end, we just had to sort of forget spinal injuries and load him into his car. And he went off to hospital. I mean, he was in a terrible way. I don't know if he'll survive or not, to be honest. So it was a bit of a shock end to the day, and you know, I guess it's something you always have to deal with on a deployment. You just never know what you're going to face next.
Having set up over 400 tents, and with just an afternoon left in Brazil before heading home, we took the opportunity to go back to the biggest camp in São José de Laje to play with the kids, say our final goodbyes, and take a few photos of all the people who had helped us set up the tents and who, despite speaking a different language, had become our great friends. We left with these images, content in what we had achieved. But it was only on the plane home that we realised that no image could do justice to the emotions that we were now feeling, and to the hope that we were able to give to these people. And that is why I'm an aid worker.